Word of mouth marketing versus advertising. Today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each one. And stick around to the end because I'll share which one I think works best. What's up, fellow marketers? I'm Chris Kapelski, and this is Shark Week. Actually, Shark Week ended last week. But that's okay, because we got something even better for you today. Marketing tip number 129, word of mouth versus advertising. Now, if you've been in business for any length of time, you probably know that there's pros and cons to each of these strategies. But how do you know which strategy will work best for you? How do you know which one will give you the best bang for your buck? Today, we're going to talk about the details of each strategy so that you can have a better understanding and decide which one's best for you. Let's kick it off by talking about word of mouth. Before we hop into the pros and cons, let me set the stage a little bit for you about the origins of word of mouth marketing. Now, some of those believe that it dated all the way back to ancient times, that it was a popularity thing, and that if you provided great business services back then, people were likely to refer you, and that's where it started. The term was really coined in the 1970s when a psychologist doing focus groups realized that a couple influential people in those groups could sway the majority of people to think the way that they thought. So the basic idea of word of mouth is that you can create experiences as a business, and those experiences will get people to talk about your business, even if you don't expect or want them to. Now, that can lead to both positive and negative word of mouth marketing, and we don't really have time to cover that here, so we'll make another video later. But let me give you a couple statistics that really iterate how powerful word of mouth marketing can be. The first one is, did you know that 80% of business decisions start with a referral? How powerful would it be to your business if you could be the place that they were referring? How much more business would that create for you? The second big statistic is 90% of people trust those that review products that they know. So if someone puts a review out online and it's from their mom or a family member or somebody that they really trust, 90% of people trust those reviews over everything else. I think those two statistics really show how important word of mouth marketing is and why you should be utilizing it in your business. Well, let's talk a little bit more about it. Let's hop into the pros. The first pro of word of mouth is that it works even when you're not. Now, the idea of this all starts with your customers. If you've created a business that has a culture and products and services that people can get behind, those people are going to be even more likely to share those experiences and to share your products with people even when you're not sharing the products and services with those people. Your customers have become a part of your sales team. And speaking of sales teams, they all take time off. Nights, weekends, holidays, whatever the case may be, there's a point in which sales teams stop. And that tends to be the same point when word of mouth marketing really kicks up. Because those people that are sharing your business are doing so on the weekends, at parties, at times when maybe you're unavailable or you're away from the business or your sales team's away. So the first big pro, again, is that word of mouth marketing works when you don't. The second pro of word of mouth is that it's more trusted than advertising. Now, this all boils down to the source. When you're advertising your business, you're the source. You're telling customers and people what they should think about your business. And of course, you're going to have nothing but good things to say about yourself. But in word of mouth, the source is different. The source is those customers and those clients that have experienced your business. Now, their experiences are going to lead to what they say, again, both either positive or negative. So it becomes extremely critical that as a business owner, you make sure that every customer experience becomes a positive one. Even if you run into an issue, which is inevitable, you need to make sure that that customer goes away from that experience feeling like you did everything you could to turn that negative into a positive. If you do that as a business owner, you'll really capitalize on the second pro of word of mouth marketing. Like with any marketing strategy, there's also going to be some cons. The first con of word of mouth is that you can't control your audience. That means even if it's your best customer, they could tell somebody about your business that's really a bad client. Let me give you an example because this has happened in our company quite a few times. We had a client of ours that played in soccer, or her son played in soccer. And at one of the games, she was telling one of the other parents all about the marketing services that we did. They didn't really get into details, just that we did marketing. We actually got a call from that person and they said, "Hey, I hear you do marketing. I'd love to work with you. I need a flyer made for my business." Now, if you know anything about IDS, we do digital marketing. Designing flyers, doing graphic design isn't really at the core of what we do. So even though this was one of our best customers, it wasn't a great client for us. The good news about that is you can control what customers you take on. So it was very easy for us to say, we'd be happy to refer you to somebody who could do some graphic design, but we didn't necessarily do the job that she wanted done. So if you ever find yourself in that situation, keep that in mind as a way to deal with it. The second con that needs to be considered is speed. Most businesses operate on sales cycles and they utilize sales funnels to determine when people that are potential prospects become customers. They move them through the funnel at a particular pace. With word of mouth marketing, you have zero control over when somebody's going to enter that funnel as a prospect. You don't know when that soccer game is going to take place and somebody's going to share your business with another potential customer. That can lead to some problems. The first problem is you may not get any referrals when you need them the most. Or you may get too many referrals when you can't handle any more business. If you find yourself in that situation, it's extremely critical that you set expectations. Be honest with those potential customers and tell them when you can and can't handle the work that they want you to do. Hopefully that'll turn a con into a positive experience and keep you moving forward. Now that we've covered word of mouth, let's talk about the contender. Hailing all the way back from as far as the Stone Age, weighing in at various budgets, advertising! Advertising. It takes many different shapes and many different forms. There's a lot of different strategies that you can use, and there's a lot of different campaigns that you can run that are all advertising. But in its simple form, it's that you're dictating a value proposition to your customers. You're telling them about the products or services that you have to sell, and you're telling them exactly what you want them to hear. In short, you're in control, and that's important to remember when it comes to advertising. So now that we know a little bit more about advertising, let's talk about some of the pros. The first pro of advertising is that you get to control the audience and the speed. That means you can determine exactly who will see your message and when they'll see it. So maybe you're trying to create a new target, or maybe you're trying to hit a new target audience. Well, that's simple. Work on a new advertising source, or create a new advertising campaign. Or maybe you're trying to get leads now because you're almost out and you know to keep that sales cycle going that you need the leads. Simple. Increase your budget. Whatever you're trying to do, advertising offers your business a flexibility that word of mouth marketing doesn't. And that flexibility can lead to bigger success. If you've had success with different advertising strategies, let us know. We'd love to hear about them. We're always looking for new strategies and we'd love to hear about yours. Leave them in the comments below and tell us what worked best for you. The second pro of advertising is that you have 100% control over your message. Remember the story from earlier about the soccer game? The issue with that story was we had zero control over the message that was going out. It was incorrectly conveyed that we could do a service that we really couldn't. When you're advertising, if you take time to think and to plan out your message, it will lead your business to success because you're telling people exactly what you want them to hear. And when people hear exactly what you want them to, that tends to lead them down a path that you're certain about, and it'll make your business ultimately more successful. Just like word of mouth marketing, advertising has some cons of its own. The first con, and it's a doozy, is budget. On average, advertising is the most expensive thing that your business can do. And that's because it's specific. If you want to control the message and when it goes out and who you're reaching it's gonna take budget, and that can get costly quick. What's worse is that that budget could be going the wrong places. In another video, we talked about optimizing your budget, and we talked about how you have to look at what's working and what's not. Otherwise, you could be spending money that's just being wasted. And what's worse than that, wrong budgets and ill-placed budgets have even put businesses under. Budget being spent incorrectly is the #1 reason that businesses go out of business. So make sure you're paying super close attention to your marketing budget and your ad spends so that doesn't happen to you. The second con of advertising is that it's not as trusted as word of mouth and some of the other strategies that your business can employ. That's because you, as the business, are telling people what you want them to hear. And again, no one ever says anything bad about themselves. Have you ever watched YouTube and you hit the skip button on the ads? Or you're on Facebook and you scroll right past the ads? It's not that those things aren't interesting, it's just that they're not personal. People don't always connect with things that aren't personal. Remember that statistic from the beginning? Over 90% of people trust reviews and word of mouth of the people that they know. And while they may have heard from your business, they don't necessarily know your business. So if you're looking for a strategy that builds trust and relationships long term, advertising might not be the best method for you. There you have it. 2 equal but completely different styles of marketing. Word of mouth marketing and advertising. And just like I promised in the beginning, I'll share with you my thoughts and my opinions on which you should use. To be honest, after decades of doing marketing, you really need to do both. And the truth of the matter is, they cover each other well. That is, the things that word of mouth marketing isn't really great at, the cons that we discussed, advertising can pick up and run with. For example, giving a good customer experience for word of mouth doesn't cost you a ton of money. But you can't really control the speed of which that happens. You can't control when people are sharing it. And you can make up that slack with advertising. So both of those strategies can really work well together. If you have to pick one, I suggest you look at both the pros and the cons that we covered and find out what is going to work best for your business. Because honestly, that's the best way that you can decide and determine where your budgets will be best spent. So that's it for today, guys. If you like the content in this video, go ahead and hit like below. We're going to bring you new content every week, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got another great video coming next week. So that's it for today. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next Marketing Tip Monday. We'll see ya.